These are the 10 secret regions where Ohio's billionaires actually live, and they only get crazier as we move. We're talking about a Cleveland lakefront estate where the Browns owner hosts political fundraisers that attract presidential candidates, a village where 39 of Cleveland's 100 most expensive homes are concentrated, and a Cincinnati neighborhood that legally captures tax revenue from a massive shopping mall while keeping resident property taxes lower than surrounding suburbs. Let's get into it. Number 10. Moreland Hills, where modernist architecture meets old money. Let's start with Moreland Hills in Cuyahoga County, which is a fascinating bridge between traditional estate living and modernist luxury that the current generation of tech entrepreneurs actually wants. And it's consistently ranked among the wealthiest communities in the region, despite most Ohio residents having no idea it even exists. The village is known for rugged terrain and scenic beauty that allows for experimental architectural designs you'd never get approved in strictly traditional enclaves like Hunting Valley, where everything must look like it was built in 1920. Mean household income hits $233,899, which is serious money, and the real estate market spans from $200,000 for older properties needing renovation to over $3 million for new construction estates featuring floor-to-ceiling windows and clean modernist lines. Access to Chagrin Valley Country Club provides the social infrastructure where Cleveland's business elite network over golf, while top-tier school systems make Moreland Hills attractive to wealthy families who actually have school-age children rather than just empty nesters maintaining family estates. The village offers total privacy through natural topography. Rolling hills and dense woods create barriers without requiring gates, while remaining close enough to upscale shopping in Orange and Woodmere that you're not completely isolated. What makes Moreland Hills genuinely interesting is how it attracts wealth that wants Cleveland proximity and country club access, but doesn't want to live in a house that looks like their grandparents designed it in 1945. Sometimes newer money needs newer architecture, and Moreland Hills figured that out before other Cleveland enclaves did. Now imagine taking that same Cleveland wealth concentration and adding lakefront views with political power. That's exactly where we're headed next. Number 9. Bratenahl, the lakefront fortress surrounded by Cleveland. Bratenahl sits on Lake Erie's shores, completely surrounded by Cleveland but maintaining total municipal independence, which is either brilliant strategic planning or aggressive wealth protection depending on your perspective about rich people creating their own governments. The village was historically an extension of Millionaires Row, where Cleveland's early industrial titans built summer estates back when having a second house on the lake was how you signaled you'd made it. Today it's home to Jimmy and Dee Haslam, owners of the Cleveland Browns and Columbus Crew, whose net worth hits billions and whose estate is literally called Terra on Lake Erie, a Georgian brick residence at 10,401 Lakeshore Boulevard that epitomizes lakefront luxury in ways that make normal wealthy people feel inadequate. The Haslam estate hosts high-dollar political fundraisers attracting national figures, which tells you something about the level of influence concentrated here when presidential candidates make stops at private homes during campaign seasons. Lakeshore Boulevard features some of Ohio's most historic and expensive mansions, and despite sitting adjacent to Cleveland's urban core, Bratenahl maintains a private police force and gated communities providing security levels that high-profile billionaires actually require. Here's what makes Bratenahl fascinating. It's not rural seclusion like Hunting Valley where you disappear into forests. It's urban adjacency with fortress-level privacy, meaning you can attend Cleveland business meetings in 15 minutes while living behind gates where paparazzi and casual observers physically cannot access your property. Think about what that provides. All the economic benefits of city proximity with none of the visibility downsides that come from living where normal people can see you. But lakefront fortresses are just the beginning when you see what Cincinnati's equestrian class have built in our next sport. Number 8. Coldstream/Anderson Township, where income actually exceeds Indian Hill. Coldstream in Anderson. Township has average household income hitting $371,200, which actually surpasses Indian Hill in certain wealth metrics. And that fact alone should tell you something about how newer Cincinnati money is choosing golf courses over historical estates. This area is built around exclusive golf course communities where custom-built homes are woven into rolling hills and wooded valleys, catering to people who prefer resort-style living over the more formal traditional aesthetic you get in older Cincinnati enclaves. Riverview Estates within Coldstream has successfully attracted high-profile athletes, most notably Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, and properties here range from $2.5 million to over $8 million, reflecting massive upward valuation trends in southeastern Cincinnati suburbs. The draw is a combination of riverfront views, extreme privacy through natural topography rather than just gates, and modern architectural sensibility that appeals to professional athletes and younger executives who earned wealth recently and want homes reflecting contemporary success rather than inherited 1940s design. The golf-centric lifestyle provides built-in social infrastructure where networking happens organically during rounds rather than requiring formal country club events. What separates Coldstream from Indian Hill isn't total wealth. Both neighborhoods house seriously rich people. It's the timeline and aesthetic preference. Indian Hill represents generational money carefully preserved. Coldstream represents recent earnings aggressively displayed through modern custom architecture. You know what's wild about that income number exceeding Indian Hill? It suggests that newer money sometimes concentrates faster than old money because there's less family wealth getting divided across multiple heirs. Next up, let's see what happens when Jack Nicklaus builds an entire village around golf. Number 7. Muirfield Village, Dublin, where sports wealth becomes real estate. Muirfield Village in Dublin represents this unique category where sports celebrity and residential exclusivity merge into one internationally recognized brand. And it's all because Jack Nicklaus decided to build more than just a golf course. The development hosts the PGA Memorial Tournament annually, bringing global capital influx and celebrity visitation that most Ohio towns could never attract regardless of how hard they market themselves. Muirfield Village Golf Club charges initiation fees around $100,000. Yeah, just to join. And the clubhouse offers world-class dining and lodging that functions as semi-permanent hub for international business elite during tournament season when corporate jets fill the local airport. The residential component consists of luxury estates overlooking manicured fairways, where property values are directly tied to the Nicklaus name, and the prestige of living inside a course that hosts PGA events. The community attracts business executives, professional athletes, and coaches who value gated security combined with the legitimacy that comes from an address people outside Ohio actually recognize when you tell them where you live. Dublin's median sale price hovers around $640,000, which sounds accessible until you realize top-tier Muirfield estates reach into multi-million-dollar range, and the $640,000 figure includes all of Dublin rather than just the exclusive golf community. The Memorial Tournament creates this interesting dynamic where residents either embrace the annual influx of crowds and corporate hospitality or find it annoying that their neighborhood becomes a temporary celebrity circus. And that split tells you everything about whether someone bought here for community or just for investment. Here's the question nobody asks. Does living on a famous golf course actually improve your life? Or are you just paying premium dollars for proximity to a sport you might play twice monthly? But that philosophical debate disappears when you see what Columbus's professional elite built without any sports gimmicks. Number 6. Upper Arlington, where professionals build meritocratic wealth. Upper Arlington, locals call it UA, functions as the residential stronghold for Columbus's professional elite. Top surgeons, prominent attorneys, high-level Ohio State administrators, and the wealth here wasn't inherited. It was earned through decades of professional achievement. UA is meticulously planned to the point where local real estate experts compare its appearance to a television set, meaning everything is almost artificially pristine with lush landscaping that costs more to maintain than most people's mortgages. The real estate market is characterized by extreme competition and low inventory, with median sale price hitting $725,000, and the top-rated public schools create educational outcomes that justify those prices for families who prioritize their children's futures. The western edge overlooking the Scioto River, specifically River's Gate and Brookside Estates, contains the city's most expensive properties with gated communities, offering riverfront views and private docks. Recent listings included 4-bedroom homes priced at $1.8 million, attracting residents who want tranquility without sacrificing proximity to downtown Columbus business districts where they're still actively working rather than living off trust funds. What makes UA genuinely interesting is the wealth demographic. These aren't people who inherited fortunes and preserved them through family offices. These are people who went to medical school or law school and climbed professional ladders until their incomes reached levels where $1.8 million homes felt reasonable. That creates completely different neighborhood culture compared to generational wealth enclaves where your last name matters more than your recent achievements. Think about what that means for social dynamics. In old money neighborhoods, you're judged by family history and which clubs your grandparents belong to. In UA, you're judged by your professional reputation and whether you're still actively contributing to Columbus's economy. However, professional meritocracy is still modest compared to our next spot, which is all designed by a single billionaire. Number 5. Bexley, where political power meets institutional wealth. Bexley sits as this island of affluence inside the Columbus metro area, and it's perhaps best known as the site of Ohio's governor's mansion, which anchors the entire city's identity as a place where political and institutional power concentrates. The city was once designated as an entire arboretum, and that history shows in the towering mature trees and meticulously maintained landscapes that make every street look like it belongs in a historical preservation district. Bexley is home to Capital University, creating this college town feel that's nonetheless highly exclusive. And the wealth concentrates in Grand Tudor and Georgian estates that sometimes list for over $4 million. Median sale price hits $785,000 with population around 14,000. And the Bexley elite are deeply involved in Columbus's philanthropic and cultural institutions in ways that make their wealth feel more publicly engaged than purely private. The city's walkable Main Street features upscale boutiques and the historic Drexel Theater, providing community engagement that's often absent in more secluded enclaves where residents never leave their estates except to drive somewhere else. What makes Bexley unique is the combination of small-town charm and billionaire-level capital. You can walk to a local coffee shop and potentially bump into someone whose net worth exceeds most small companies, but the interaction feels casual rather than performative. The Jeffrey Mansion and other architectural landmarks provide cultural gravitas that newer wealthy neighborhoods literally cannot replicate regardless of budget. Here's what's fascinating about Bexley. In most wealthy enclaves, residents actively avoid being visible or accessible to normal people, but Bexley's layout and walkable infrastructure makes casual interaction almost unavoidable, creating this weird dynamic where Ohio's political elite can't fully retreat from public life. That's either refreshing democratic accessibility or frustrating lack of privacy depending on whether you're walking down Main Street or trying to avoid constituents. But political power is just one dimension of Ohio wealth. Wait till you see what happens when Cleveland's titans push eastward into forests. Number 4. Gates Mills, where education and polo create generational cycles. Gates Mills sits adjacent to Hunting Valley, offering this more village-centric form of exclusivity that frequently ranks among Cuyahoga County's top 5 richest communities, with median household income hitting $133,605. The village is defined by rolling hills and New England charm that makes it look more like Connecticut than Ohio. But the real importance lies in its role as social and educational hub for Cleveland's elite. Gates Mills houses prestigious institutions like Gilmore Academy and sits near University School, where Ohio's billionaire children are traditionally educated, creating generational cycles where graduates return to raise their own families and ensure consistent capital influx. The community's social calendar revolves around polo matches and equestrian competitions at Chagrin Valley Metro Parks, which residents can often access directly from their multi-acre estates without ever driving on public roads. Unlike Hunting Valley's more secluded and visible manors, Gates Mills properties interact more visibly with the landscape, contributing to the village's reputation as one of the most scenic residential areas in the Midwest. Real estate ranges from $400,000 for historical cottages needing renovation to over $2.5 million for sprawling estates. And the air of exclusivity is maintained through strict zoning and demographics, consisting primarily of high-level business executives, doctors, and lawyers who value old-world charm, over modern flash. The village feels country-like while remaining minutes from Cleveland's urban core, which provides economic access without requiring you to actually live in the city. You know what creates that generational cycle? When the same families send children to the same schools for 80-plus years, those kids develop friendships that turn into business partnerships and marriages, creating social networks so tight that outsiders literally cannot penetrate them regardless of net worth. That's not just wealth, that's dynastic infrastructure. But village charm is nothing compared to what this next entry brings to the table. Number 3. New Albany, the master-planned Georgian fantasy. New Albany represents the most significant departure from old money patterns, located northeast of Columbus as the result of a singular vision largely catalyzed by Les Wexner, the billionaire L Brands founder worth over $10 billion who basically designed an entire city reflecting his aesthetic preferences. Every aspect of New Albany's development is dictated by commitment to architectural integrity, specifically rigorous Georgian style, providing cohesive, timeless luxury that looks like it could be a movie set. This master-planned approach has successfully attracted high-profile CEOs and tech entrepreneurs seeking turnkey, elite lifestyle where you don't have to think about design because someone already made every decision for you. The city's economic importance exploded recently with Intel's multi-billion-dollar semiconductor investment in the immediate vicinity alongside massive data centers for Google and Amazon, transforming New Albany from just a wealthy suburb into a legitimate tech hub that might actually matter nationally. Median sale price hits $1,045,000, and all public schools have earned National Blue Ribbon status, which is legitimately impressive because it means educational quality matches the real estate prices. New Albany Country Club features 81 holes of championship golf. Not 18, not 36, but 81 holes because apparently when you're Les Wexner, you don't do things halfway, plus extensive tennis facilities. The city also hosts Pelotonia, an annual bike race that's raised over $339 million for cancer research and serves as critical social mixer for Ohio's billionaire donors, where high rollers contribute massive amounts while participating in exclusive ceremonies. Here's what's genuinely remarkable about New Albany. Most wealthy neighborhoods evolved organically over decades or centuries, but New Albany was literally designed and built within one generation according to a specific aesthetic vision, and it worked. That's either impressive planning or creepy social engineering depending on whether you think billionaires should be able to design entire cities. But even master-planned perfection can't match what Cincinnati's elite built over a century. Number 2. Indian Hill, where tax math makes staying worth millions. Indian Hill functions as Cincinnati's primary sanctuary for billionaire and decamillionaire class. Originally established as rural escape for the city's industrial leaders and evolved into this sophisticated community balancing rural charm with modern luxury. Here's where Indian Hill gets genuinely clever. Kenwood Town Center and its associated high-revenue commercial developments are technically part of Indian Hill's tax district, meaning the village captures massive tax revenue from retail and commercial activity while keeping residential property tax rates among the lowest in Greater Cincinnati. Think about what that creates. Your 10-acre estate in Indian Hill often has a lower tax burden than significantly smaller lots in neighboring suburbs, providing powerful incentive to preserve multi-million-dollar properties rather than selling when valuations spike. Average household income hits $396,400, with over 52% of households earning above $200,000 annually, and the real estate market is remarkably resilient. In 2024, 53 homes sold for over $1 million, with the most expensive reaching $5.8 million. Median sale price sits at $1,990,250. Typical estates span 5 to 10+ acres, and the village maintains this rural equestrian character despite being minutes from Cincinnati's urban core. The social engine is Camargo Club, a 501c7 nonprofit with fewer than 300 members and assets totaling over $14.7 million, serving as quiet meeting ground for the city's power brokers. Average Cincinnati Country Club initiation fees run around $34,000, but Camargo is widely understood to be significantly higher, possibly double or triple, creating filtered social environment where corporate strategies get drafted away from public scrutiny. You know what that tax arbitrage actually means? Indian Hill residents are getting subsidized by people shopping at Kenwood Mall, who have no idea their sales tax is funding some of Ohio's wealthiest residents' municipal services. That's not accidental. That's sophisticated municipal planning that turns commercial activity into residential subsidy. But while tax engineering genius and equestrian culture is impeccable in Indian Hill, it still can't touch what our #1 sport offers. Number 1. Hunting Valley, where the Census Bureau gives up tracking wealth. Hunting Valley stands as the undisputed pinnacle of residential exclusivity in Northeast Ohio. And here's how you know it's genuinely different. The U.S. Census Bureau consistently applies a plus sign to median household income metrics because the wealth literally transcends standard categorical tracking, routinely exceeding $200,000 at household level and often dramatically higher when accounting for total asset liquidity. The village's reputation as sanctuary for the really and truly wealthy is anchored by the Lerner family, a finance and banking dynasty whose influence on Cleveland's economic landscape is profound. And the spatial logic was determined in the late 19th and early 20th centuries when Cuyahoga River Valley acted as geographic barrier pushing the city's industrial titans eastward into secluded forested terrain. Population sits at approximately 717 residents, and in 2002, an analysis of Cleveland's top 100 most expensive homes revealed that 39 were located in Hunting Valley alone. That's nearly 40% of the region's most valuable real estate concentrated in one tiny village. That density has only increased, with current offerings frequently starting at $2 million and scaling well beyond $5 million for properties functioning effectively as private parklands. The village lacks traditional commercial district by deliberate choice prioritizing total privacy, instead connecting to Chagrin Valley Metroparks, providing access to polo fields and equestrian competitions, serving as primary social nodes for the billionaire class. Proximity to University School and Gilmore Academy ensures that UHNW children are socialized within closed networks of influence that perpetuate wealth across generations. Mean household income hits $332,716, the highest in Ohio. And the village's entire infrastructure is designed around the principle that when you're wealthy enough, eliminating all public-facing commerce and activity from your environment becomes more valuable than convenience. There are no gas stations, no coffee shops, no casual retail, just private estates hidden behind forests where neighbors sometimes can't even see each other's houses. What makes Hunting Valley indisputably #1 is the wealth concentration that's so extreme the federal government literally cannot categorize it using standard metrics designed for normal communities. When the Census Bureau has to invent new notation just to describe your neighborhood's income levels, you're not just rich. You're operating in a completely different economic stratosphere. That's not a community, that's a financial fortress. If this changed how you think about Ohio wealth, like the video and subscribe to Global Status for more such interesting peeks into the world of wealth. Also, drop a comment about which spot shocked you most. Catch you next time.